I wasn't expecting that my bio will be read in details because my job here is very simple. I'll just be asking the experts questions. So, but yes, good. So yes, good afternoon again. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the panel discussion. We'll be discussing building cross-continental collaborations for Pan-African digital entrepreneurship. I would like to appreciate you for taking time to spending your time with us today. I would like to bring up, maybe before I do that, I want to test the pulse in the room, like I like to do before I have certain conversations. Do we have, I think Dr. Linus actually did a fantastic job on, getting everyone interactive and asking a lot of questions, so I will not do that again. But I'm very curious to have an idea of the category of, I would say, stakeholders we have in the room. I know that everyone largely, we have a youth population in here. But do we have entrepreneurs that are well mature? By show of hands, just please cooperate with me today. If you're an entrepreneur and you have raised some serious capital and you've gone beyond the growth stage, by show of hands, let me see you, please. Okay, so maybe we have a lot of work to do today. Do we have a lot of people that want to get into entrepreneurship in the room? By show of hands, okay, fantastic. I can see some hands. So, we have a sense that there's a lot of learning that will be happening today. I also want to know if we have any 9-to-5ers. So not everybody, there are people that do 9 to 5 in our midst. Do we have such people? Yes, okay, we do. Okay, fantastic. So not everyone is necessarily purely an entrepreneur in the room, so that's good to know. And I'm trying to highlight this so our panelists also get a sense of the people they'll be talking to today. And maybe 2 more questions from my end. Do we have anyone representing the public sector? Do we have anyone, working in the public sector in our midst today? Because clearly, the public sector is very important to the conversations and innovation, yes. Okay, so we have a few. And lastly, is there anyone in our room or in the room today that does not own a phone? If you don't have a mobile phone in the room today. Fantastic. So that already shows that we are close to, we are already tapped into the digital space. So yes, thanks for collaborating on this conversation. So without further ado, let me introduce our panelists. Mr. Abdulkadir Suleiman Lapai is a visionary entrepreneur and founder of JD Lab Nigeria, Tespire, and Lab Space Innovation Hub, driving innovation, education, and tech transformation. Mr. Abdulkadir, please join me on the stage. Thank you. A round of applause for Mr. Abdulkadir Suleiman. Next on the list is Mr. Bosah Chwukwuogo, and apologies if I mispronounce your name here, is a tech entrepreneur and software engineer with experience at Amazon, expertise in multiple programming languages, and a strong academic background in software engineering and computer science. I'd like to please join us on the stage as well. The third, Mr. Chidi Okpala, is an integrated marketing and communication specialist at Galaxy Backbone. He's a seasoned expert in PR, digital marketing, and strategic messaging, and Nigeria's first certified personal brand strategist. Mr. Chidi Okpala, can you please join us on the stage? A round of applause for him, please. And last but not the least, we have Talle Davidson Amedu, fondly known as Dr. Talle. He is a business growth expert, certified life coach, and blockchain project consultant. He is CEO of Upportune International, co-founder of NURIK, and founder of Blockchain Elite Hub. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Talle. So thank you very much. Let me just also have a seat. So as mentioned earlier, today we'll be talking about building cross-continental collaboration for Pan-African digital entrepreneurship. All the speakers have done justice in terms of, highlighting the statistics, knowing that Nigeria and Africa have, the youth population of over 60%, and, startups, we have a high rate of increase in startups in the past years. So all of that details has been shared earlier, so I will not go into that. And I would like that we just, the format, maybe I should speak about the format. So how we're going to do this is that we would have structured questions and answers for our panelists. And I imagine that we might open the floor for Q&A, but the anchor will probably clarify that to me. So yes, let's kick it off immediately. To start the conversation, a lot has been talked about partnerships, the role of partnerships and collaborations in, stirring up the economy, looking at digital innovation, as well as stirring up the entrepreneurship space, not just in Nigeria, but also in Africa. So I would like to start with Mr. Abdulkadir Suleiman. As someone leading an organization that supports startups, what practical strategies have you seen work for founders seeking to collaborate across borders? Can you also, maybe in your response, share a story of a collaboration that was successful across Africa? Over to you.
Hi, thank you, Fauzai, a wonderful moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today, especially in the company of the panelists and young, vibrant entrepreneurs. I'm here in the capacity of being the founder of Lab Space Innovation Hub, and also as well wearing a double hat, the founder of Tespire LLC. So in Lab Space, we sort of like prepare entrepreneurs for the groundbreaking journey, where we like train them through a learning track, where we like connect them with global accelerator programs. And at Tespire LLC, where I'm charting the vision, we're trying to provide a tech platform for schools in semi-urban areas. And we've started that by experimenting shipping tablets to schools where it's been difficult for them to join the digital transformation. And through that, we're also trying to become a data-first company where we're expected that some of the data that we're going to gather by equipping them with these digital tools, we're going to start working on personalized learning experiences. So if I'll go back to your question on, things I have done, because I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, seasoned people across the continent who are doing great stuff and also building different, digital technology products. So from what I've seen is that there is that surge now, right, where almost everyone wants to become a digital disruptor, right? And some of us that are actually been in the frontier and doing some of these stuffs have had the opportunity to travel across the continent to see firsthand. I could remember a trip I made sometime last year. It was sponsored by Afrilabs. We were in Zimbabwe, and we had a lot of ecosystem players there where you have innovation hub enablers and startup accelerators, where we had education on how you can build that global brand, especially taking in context, the globalization approach and the likes. So for me, when I go to conferences, right, I try to make an assessment where I see, who is in the top league in terms of the ecosystem and who is at the, lower bottom in terms of the ecosystem. So I try to see how I can influence my relationship by, striking partnerships. And I could remember vividly, I got to connect with someone from West Africa, like Ghana, and we were able to, talk and launch a partnership where the partnership I earlier introduced that Lab Space is involved in, was what, come out of that. And part of the team members we got was because, when you make an assessment in terms of those that are influencing the ecosystem, you could look at it from an angle where you could also get to build a team. So we got to recruit some of those people in the, team where they're helping us to build the learning track that we're going to be passing down some of the entrepreneurs that we are interfacing with and the likes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdulkadir. Some of the key things he mentioned was the fact that in startups, but also importantly is looking around you and being sensitive to the opportunities that surface in terms of partnerships and collaboration. So I would encourage us in the room as well to have your eyes open, because you might be one step closer to a solid partnership that can change your business. So thank you very much, Mr. Abdulkadir, for that comment. So I'd want to move very quickly to Mr. Bosah, because I know he spoke a lot about, collaborations as well across the globe. And you have vast experience in, business operations, IT, consulting, and solutions generally. And your experience also in America and all that. So would like to hear from you what you have seen that are the challenges African entrepreneurs face when attempting to scale their ventures into other countries, across countries. That's the first question. So what have you observed in the African entrepreneurship space that has posed challenges for entrepreneurs in terms of collaborating and scaling their ventures beyond the country, across several countries? And then a second part of that question would be, how do you think digital tools can mitigate some of these challenges? Thank you.
Hello, yeah. Thank you very much for the question. My name is Bosah. I'm glad to be with you guys today. On the question of, well, let me introduce myself a little bit to give you some context on answering this question. So we build one of the widely used platforms in the educational sector in Nigeria here. And I can tell you firsthand that things you build here, things that you are building, things that you are going to build will be used across the world. So don't build only for Nigeria, build for the world. From here, you can actually do a very big thing. You actually can compete. And in this process, there will be challenges. There will be opportunities for you to grow it. So one of the first challenge that you will note is that market research and data for African countries is very, very, very difficult to really use to build your business or build a product. You would have heard a few days ago that Netflix, the biggest online streaming platform, is exiting Nigeria, or is quietly exiting Nigeria. And you wonder why. If we are a population of 200 million people and they have the data that 200 million people can buy Netflix subscriptions and fund the making of Nigerian films, why are they quietly exiting Nigeria? It cannot be the recession. It cannot be the inflation. It must be something about the data. Meanwhile, YouTube is still here. YouTube is still streaming in Nigeria. People are still streaming to Netflix, to YouTube. So market data is one, the use of market data, market research is one of the important things that as a founder, as a builder, you have to pay attention to, because you have to build for a market and you have to build for a customer that will use your product. So we always, that is one issue. Another issue is regulation and compliance. It's good that we have 54 African countries in our continent, But that means 54 sets of laws, 54 sets of ordinances, 54 sets of licenses, 54 sets of fees that you have to pay in order to work in Africa. And let me not forget, 54 visas possibly. These challenges are real. And as a builder, as a founder, in ECOWAS region, for instance, we can easily go across border. Afrexim Bank pointed out some of their tools and platforms that they can use to mitigate these challenges. So these are one of the things that we have to do. So finally, in terms of collaboration, I don't know what you guys are building. I want to believe that you're building the best and greatest stuff. But the best and greatest stuff today is AI. And I really need to say how important that is. The future is going to be AI. The future is going to be AI driven. So you need to be building AI right now. And let me tell you why you will succeed if you build it. This technology is new. I came of age at a time when the internet was new. When I started using the internet, it was new to a lot of people. AI is still new to a lot of people. You today in Abuja can build as fast as those in Silicon Valley, building just as fast. You can collaborate with them. A lot of them have not solved, there are a lot of AI problems left to be solved. There are VC accelerators, there are networking, LinkedIn that you can use to collaborate and build new things for the future. If you do that, if you collaborate, you will be able to build build a big thing from here in Abuja, from here in Nigeria, and from Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A round of applause for Mr. Bosah for that very clear message. Just to reiterate some things he mentioned. Market data and research being a key challenge, and we recognize that. I think that's cuts across a lot of industries, getting the right data that you need to make this. Regulation and compliance was another challenge that he highlighted, and one key opportunity he has shared with us so graciously is AI. So think AI, start building AI as a way to solve the problems of our world today and to come. Now, and one more thing he mentioned in terms of the collaboration aspect is that basically, in summary, there's no distance. I think Dr. Linus mentioned that now there's no distance. So when you're talking about collaboration, it's as simple as even us using our phones and chatting, but instead of looking at that WhatsApp platform or that Instagram platform as just for entertainment, begin to think of how you can connect with people anywhere to discuss ideas and solutions. So that leads me to my next question for Mr. Chidi, who works, we know, in the Galaxy Backbone, and they are a critical stakeholder in the conversations around digital economy and innovation and all of that in Nigeria. So, Mr. Chidi, so we know that, and the earlier speaker, Mr. Bosah, already mentioned the aspect of some of the challenges that exist. Some are technology-based, infrastructure-based, and some are softer side of things. So I wanted to ask you, from a technology infrastructure perspective, this varies across Africa. So what's your experience at Galaxy Backbone? How can these gaps that have already been highlighted be addressed to ensure that no one is left behind when we talk about digital entrepreneurship?
All right. Thank you very much, Fauzai, and it's a great pleasure to be here at the Gain Youth Summit. So just as has been said, I'm Chidi Okpala. I work for an organization called Galaxy Backbone. I'm hopeful that a lot of people here will know the organization. So to your question, in terms of technology infrastructure, which is something at the heart of what we do in Galaxy Backbone. We are a digital infrastructure and solutions company that provide services first. Our captive market is the government, and we have evolved into now partnering with the private sector to also provide these digital infrastructure services to the enterprise space and also to small businesses as well. So Galaxy Backbone has been existing for close to 2 decades now, and we've come a long way in terms of our experience around digital infrastructures and how this has actually affected the market that we find ourselves in. And one of the biggest challenges I would say we have had is in the aspect of adoption. Adoption has also been something that has been very critical for us. And one of the ways that we have tried to fix that is through collaborations with the stakeholders, but then also a lot of learning, a lot of training, a lot of capacity building has gone into that. That's one. Then the second one also is, like I said, we are a digital infrastructure company, and one of the things that we have tried to do and has been quite helpful is set up something we call a shared infrastructure. What this means is that you create a platform where a number of people can come and leverage on and see how they can bring down the costs down and also provide those same services to their own markets and people that they are focused on. And in doing this, we have partnered internally with the government, but then we have also tried to also partner with the private sector as well. Because you cannot succeed completely if you can't partner effectively with the private sector. So we've done quite a lot with that in terms of, we know what our strengths are. I love to say to people that collaboration, there's a lot of talk around collaboration, partnerships, but it's important for people to understand where their strengths begin and end, and where the other person's strength also begins and ends. If that is clearly understood, then people can come together, understanding where their strengths lie, the other person also understanding where his strengths or her strength lies, and then you come together with that combined strength, and you can make magic out of it. So we've done that with, there's something we call the One Government Cloud Initiative, which we have put, it's an electronic, it's an ECMS management system, which brings together MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, so that they can properly automate their systems. And we haven't done this alone. We have done this in partnership with the private sector. A lot of ICT companies across the country are partnering with us in terms of delivering that. So I think this is just to emphasize the importance of collaboration as something very, very critical in terms of leveraging the infrastructure that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for Mr. Okpala. And you mentioned very salient points around understanding your strengths and that shared infrastructure to ensure that basically taking advantage of economies of scale and all of that to reduce costs. So thank you for pointing that out. I'll move to Dr. Talle now. So we know that collaborating, cross-border collaboration means there are certain nuances that you have to take note of, cultural differences, and all of those that may not be glaring to you on first sight. So can you tell us, from your experience, practical strategies to navigating that, what young entrepreneurs can do to navigate cultural barriers, linguistic as well, talking to other people that are, speak differently from you and those that may look differently from you. How do you navigate that to ensure you have effective collaboration?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Faye. All right, I'd say I had it very easy because of the strategy that I applied, right? So just a quick introduction, I lead Upportune International, which is a company that helps entrepreneurs in Africa to access growth and business opportunities. And in the wake of 2017, when and Web3 was not, famous, we launched a community of blockchain enthusiasts, and we built that community to 20,000 members, right? 20,000 paid members across 16 countries, some in Africa and some outside of Africa. And the majority of the members we're having outside of Africa were Africans in diaspora, so it was still African. So what we did was to create champions in each of these countries. Now, when we started building our own blockchain tech products, these champions became our communication channels. So we didn't really have to fight from scratch or have to face the challenge that the regular entrepreneur out there would face. So when it came to penetrating different markets, we had it easy, right? I'll just give an instance. We launched one of our products, which is an AI-powered gamified fitness app. We launched it. We've been building it for 2 years. We did the beta testing in November last year, and we launched it January this year. And in 10 months, we had 200,000 users of that app, verifiable on App Store and Play Store, and it was insane. In fact, according to Play Store data, we have users from 150 countries. So these are verifiable data facts. Now, how did this happen? With zero marketing, zero paid advertising, zero ambassadors, zero signing or anything. Purely organic. You won't see any of our digital ads or traditional ads anywhere. Now, how do we get 200,000 users in 10 months for a blockchain tech product in a country that had issues with blockchain regulation, crypto regulations, and all that? So we pretty much worked with our champions to achieve this. And yes, it brings me to the part where I say if you're going to build a product, you need to have what I call a helicopter view, to look at your industry, to look at the niche that you're playing in. What can you do differently? I knew that I can't just come out and build a product. I needed to build a community. Once you have a community, you can mint and print anything, literally anything, anything. So please build a community so that when you're launching out your product, right now we have 3 products from our companies. So when you're launching products, it's easy to just throw it in the market through your champions or through the leaders you set in place. So in practical terms, have clear communication channels. So in Kenya, for instance, we have our champions in Kenya, so I don't need to bother myself about trying to reach the Kenyan people directly. Our champions do that. In Ghana, we have over 5,000 community members in Ghana. And in Ghana alone, we have about 10 champions. So they do the work. In Cameroon, the same thing. In South Africa, the same thing. In Uganda, they say, oh, fantastic community in Uganda. So these are what you need to do. You need to have the right people in the market you're trying to penetrate and let them do the work for you. Thank you.
Fantastic response. Thank you, Dr. Talle. That was very, very apt in terms of using the resources around you. So human beings, that's like the greatest resource on earth. So if you can build your communication channels by leveraging, the people already are established in certain locations, then that's basically a quicker way to penetrate that market. So thank you for that sound advice. I think another thing you mentioned was how the speed at which you were able to achieve some great outcomes with your AI, and I hope that maybe in the next set of questions we can get to know more about that solution. But thanks a lot for that. So I imagine that there's a need for, when you talk about community, we can also begin to look at the other things that you get out of building that community and a network of people. One of those things would be mentorship. And I know that, probably that conversation has come up in the course of today, but I want to ask Dr. Abdulkadir his thoughts around mentorship, the role that mentorship plays, also knowing that you have that JD Labs, which is like an innovation hub, and I imagine that a lot of people come in, exchange. So that's another, setup that can propel collaborations across board. But importantly is, what have you seen as the role of mentorship in fostering these kind of cross-continental collaborations and just fostering partnerships even within the country and beyond Nigeria, for instance? Over to you.
All right, thank you once more. Why I was surprised was because I knew I was a product of mentorship myself, and if I'm going to do justice to the question, there was a part where I've been in entrepreneurship for over a decade, as well. And there was a time where I got to discover Founder Institute. Miss Ajuma is here, she's the MD of Founder Institute, where I was building everything in isolation, right? And even though I've had a lot of mentors in the past where, they were so much involved in the process of, birthing those, companies. But I think the times come to change when you see that there is a big ecosystem out there and, there is a lot of communities you could tap into where, get access to mentors, also get access to ecosystem where you could, get access to do a lot of, stuff like building teams and the likes, right? So when you want to talk about mentorship, I think it's never possible if you as a mentee, when we talk about these mentees, they could be founders, or they could be some of the tech enthusiasts that are just wanting to get into the ecosystem. So you look at it from a founder's perspective, a lot of founders are involved in building technology, right? They're also involved in building, the right, products. And some of this, I don't think you have, the entirety understanding of how it works. So why would you not want to seek out for, mentorship in regards or different endeavors? So being it that you want to build a technology-based or digital product, you need to have a lot of people in the conversation where they've done it before, from stage 1 to, a level of stage where the product is being delivered. And when you talk about a product itself, a company has to deliver a product. So I don't think having like a single idea around how a product is built is going to take you out there to the market. You have to have the understanding of a company building, skills. And I don't think you can be able to do that alone as well. So you have to reach out to mentors that have done, from 0 to 1, as we famously say it. So, I would just tell founders to reach out to mentors, right? They're everywhere. For my own case, I got to discover Founder Institute where I was, trained to go through the local program to the global program where I had access to a lot of global, mentors from US and some other part of the, the world. And if you are reaching out to these mentors, you're going to be in a long-term, journey. So it's not going to be easy for you to maintain your relationship with them. So you have to find a way to add value in the relationship because it's not just going to be about you're calling them, you want to find out what it is like to be in conversation with the development bank, the woman that was at Miss Lola. Was it to be in conversation with the commercial bank? Was it to be in conversation with a venture capital firm and stuff like that, So you really need to be grounded in all of this, be seasoned, and I don't think it's really going to be easy for that. And you could have all of these goals, you could have all of this dream and all of that, right? But you might not have the burning desire, the energy, and be proactive enough to want to just wake up and, start, working towards these aspirations. So I think as a founder, we really, really have to be proactive. Amazing, right? You can say that you want to be a blockchain expert, you want to be one of the best engineers in Abuja and the likes. But if you're not really proactive enough to want to close down some of these things, like in the most attainable version of you can, I don't think it's really, really going to be possible. So while mentorship plays a very important role in bringing out products, the right technology, the right people, the right leaders leading these emerging companies, I think it really starts from you as a founder. If you're not really able to prepare yourself for the journey ahead, I don't think there's going to be anything out there for you to take.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdulkadir. That was fantastic. Please, a round of applause for him. I want to draw some of the key things he mentioned. One, of course, mentorship was the question. And I think that's a very important point around, starting. I think Dr. Linus kind of mentioned that during his goodwill message in terms of there's not much you can deliver if you haven't, built your own self. And one of those things would be, like you said, being proactive. And we do recognize there are certain times that our energy level is very low. So this would lead me to the next question, and it would be for you, Dr. Talle. Yes, because some of the aspects that have been mentioned around challenges that exist you have to find a way to navigate it. That can wear you out, basically. Discourage you as a founder, and also even, make you less interested in, mentorships and in just talking. So on that basis of building yourself and building the right character to navigate the challenges and persisting, being committed and dedicated, there's a key, I'll say a key strength, and that's building resilience, having to continue to move. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what you would suggest in terms of people, young entrepreneurs, being able to build resilience to overcome, the challenges around us. Some of these challenges are political, instability, have economic uncertainties, and all of that around us. So resilience building, please tell us something on that.
All right, thank you, Faye. If you look at my Instagram, over 16K followers, but this year, this is December, not a single post has dropped there. Because I completely detached myself from fancy stuff to just build. The life of a builder is insane, quote unquote. It's a mentally tedious process. So when you see the likes of Tony Numelu wear their suits, see the likes of Dr. Okure, it's not just, don't just be distracted by the fancy things and the beautiful things. Especially when you're in tech and you're not in Silicon Valley. You're in Nigeria. And you're not in Rwanda. You're not in Kenya. I mean, Nigeria has these peculiar challenges and issues. You need to put your head down and build. It gets to the point where you now start doing it. This season is like the first series of speaking engagements I'm doing this year. I don't take engagements. I've been focused on building. So, talking about resilience, you will need doses and doses of mental strength. I'm telling you. Before I've been consulting, as a consultant, they bring the idea. You are the strategist, the ideator. You just give them the plan, you get paid in dollars, and they go and apply. This one, it is your product. It is your company. It is like you are in charge with products. You're in charge with the designers, the developers. Oh my goodness, developers. Oh my goodness. Raise funds, you pay salaries, you bother about cloudwares, you bother about malwares. Oh my goodness. Like, it can be a recipe for frustration, I can tell you, right? But here's what you do. Build an inner circle. So sometimes, what I do? I just hang out with my founder friends. We just hang out and laugh at ourselves. It's therapy. You just talk about your problems. Yeah, do you know the other day, it's funny, but it helps a lot because it's a lonely journey. Not everybody's in that space where you're advancing. A lot of people are still complaining about government, complaining about the economy. Some of us are trying something. So you need to create, quote unquote, a clique of fellow associates, fellow, colleagues who are building something. So you have the same mindset, right? You discuss your salaries, you discuss your funding moves. I have had more than 30 meetings with VCs. Do you know how daunting that task is, having to pitch? At some point, I had to record a 2-minute pitch of all our deck. I'm like, you tell me to pitch, I can send you a link. I'm tired. So you have to create systems like that will help you. So create that inner clique that will be a safe space for you where you can vent. And then have strong resolve to never give up. With all the shege I've seen in building our tech products, it's too late to quit, to give up. Right? It's too late. There were times that there was no money to pay salaries. I'm telling you. Like, I'm found out, no money to pay salaries. I'm being very honest here. But you've got to push. You've got to push. You've got to have ways and means to keep driving towards your goal and your objective. Because you know that your product is not about you. It is meeting a need. What we are building is not, I want to answer tech founder. We are meeting it. Maybe if we have opportunity to talk about what we're building, I'll talk about it, right? So have that unbendable resilience, right? Create an inner clique or an inner community for yourself, and then you will find stability. Stability releases your ability, right? It breeds conviction. When you are stable, your abilities will come out better. And that platform of confidence is where your innate abilities that you were not even aware of will be released. The God-given potential that is inside of you that is meant to put food on the tables of more people. Because right now, we have employed a number of people, and these people are getting paid. If they're not getting paid, what would their dependents have eaten? I don't know if you get what I mean. So it's not about you. Use all these things to build conviction for yourself that, no, I can't stop. I have to keep moving. I don't know if that...
Amazing. Round of applause for Dr. Talle. A key word, or will I say key phrase he mentioned was trend. That's important for you to be able to drive and push your products and solutions out there. I know that we're almost, how many minutes? Okay, yeah, so we should be rounding off soon. I have 2 more questions for the panelists, but I wanted to just check how we're doing in the room today. Are we learning anything? Fantastic, I'm happy to hear that. So yes, I'll come to you, Mr. Bosah. So yeah, a lot of conversation has been, we've had a lot of tips and suggestions around building yourself and also positioning yourself to leverage opportunities. And I know that you've had vast experience in this. I wanted to ask you, for local businesses and based on your experience so far, how do you think people can position themselves for international collaboration? So we know that there's collaboration internally, we have all of that, but targeting international collaboration. And I know in your first comments you had mentioned, even if you're starting locally, starting here, have the global mindset so that you can scale beyond, your locality. So what would you say is what can you share for people, entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, to position themselves to leverage international opportunities?
Thank you very much for the question. I think if you think about it, we are in a unique period of time, actually. In the communication boundaries, there was a time when you had to send a fax message, you had to make a call to be able to introduce yourself, introduce your company to a foreign person, tell him you want to be his distributor. We are now in this age of internet instant communication. So you should not be shy. First thing you have to understand is that in order for you to be able to pursue these opportunities, you have to build yourself. I think the earlier speaker, Dr. Linus, talked about that. But if you really think about it, there is a reason why you have to. You have to because you have to project integrity, you have to project trust, you have to project expertise. And these things are necessary for you to collaborate. So the first step is to develop those things. We are also in an era where trust, particularly of the Nigerian man in the international community, is something that needs major repairing. And you will repair it because it is all our collective responsibility. So as you are looking to collaborate internationally, you must understand that your integrity, your trust, and your expertise are very, very important assets that will allow you to do this thing. Now, the question you will ask, well, I don't have expertise. I'm still starting out. I'm just a builder. I'm in my apartment building all day. I don't know how I'm going to get all these things. Well, you're here today. That's step one. There are other ways to also leverage things around you. In Abuja, in Lagos, all over Nigeria, there are VC, venture capital communities forming. We have Founder Institute here, and we have others, I think Afri Labs. We have these people building ecosystems that can give you that credibility, give you that trust, and give you that ability to network beyond Abuja, beyond Nigeria, and across the whole world. In simple terms, just make sure you have your LinkedIn profile listing all your accomplishments, putting what you want. If you're a builder, make sure you have your repos, make sure your websites are up to date, make sure people can see what you're building transparently, and just work it, and work it, and work it. And with time, you will be able to find useful collaborations, useful partnerships, and move your products to the global stage. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for Mr. Bosah for that wonderful comment. So basically, he mentioned 3 to imbibe. And I know a lot of us, when we prepare our company profile, we all say, oh, our values, everybody mentions, integrity, trust, so many things. But it's not just, putting it on paper, it's actually living it out. He mentioned integrity, trust, and then expertise. And maybe to speak on that, and this has been mentioned in terms of strength. I think one of the speakers talked about recognizing your strengths, building it, but leveraging the strengths of others. And that's the bedrock of partnerships, being able to deliver on the assignment. So what value are you giving, but also in that same sense, ensuring that you're partnering with give value to your own work. And so basically bridging that strengths gap is a key part for partnership. So that will lead me to my last question, and that will be for Mr. Okpala. Because we know that we've spoken about collaborations, we've spoken about partnerships, recognizing the value and the strengths of others. So, and I know in your earlier comments you talked about public partnerships that Galaxy Backbone has taken advantage of, and I think when I was Backbone as well, I did see some. So I'd like for you to highlight that aspect of your work in terms of leveraging public-private partnerships, and then importantly, how that is able to improve digital infrastructure to support these cross-continental collaborations that we've been talking about. Over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. So, in talking deeper about partnerships, I'm sure we all know, this African quote that talks about, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So it's important that that idea around working together is critical in our minds, even as young entrepreneurs. And I'm not a founder or an entrepreneur like the guy seated here on the panel today, but most times I love to see myself as an intrapreneur, right? And who are intrapreneurs? Intrapreneurs are probably working within organizations that believe in the vision of the founders, and they are with them. They may not have the capital, but they are willing and able to go that journey with them, right? So it's important that you start from there, even as you seek your own path, even as an entrepreneur. Having said that, I think one of the things that has worked out for us in Galaxy Backbone is, just like I said at the very beginning, understanding where the place is. The digital space, the technology industry is huge. If you say that you want to do everything within the technology industry, you're just going to be kidding yourself, right? And you won't be able to scale or even sustain anything. So if you pick a place and you say, this is where I want to be extra super at, and then you focus on that area, and then you're able to get people along with you to help you in achieving that objective. If you say, most IT companies say that they're solutions providers. When they say that, what they mean is that they have worked together with a couple of other people, either OEMs, or they've worked with local partners to bring out that solution that providing as a service to the market, right? So it's important that we have that at the back of our minds, and for us in Galaxy Backbone, we have understood that, and we know where our strengths lie. So what we are doing now is trying to see how we can partner with local companies, partner with tech hubs. We've built a huge fiber infrastructure across the country, right? We've covered almost 30 states of the country. That is transversal fiber across the country. But fiber is wire, it's just there. It has to do something, right? So you need to now ask yourself, how do you deal with the last mile, getting it to that entrepreneur, getting it to that next person? And that's partnerships. right? So we can't do everything. So we've now partnered with private sector organizations within those local communities so that they can now reach that part of the community that we cannot reach, because we know that we do not have the capacity to reach that part of that community. So we are partnering with local communities, we are educating them, we are building their technical skills so that they can have the capabilities of going into these communities to build that community. And I think that is extremely very, very critical, because if we are not able to do that, then we can't scale as much as we should. And then finally, I know that there's been a whole lot of talk today around thinking global. And thinking global is great, right? It's fantastic. But I think when we look inwards, if we look at ourselves as Africans, I would like to propose that we also try to think African. Because it's important that we try to think African first. Because there's no other person that's going to solve this our problem. That's why I'm really pleased with what Gain is doing here today. It's important that we work together. Why Europe is succeeding is because they have found a model that works for them. So why can't we, me a Nigerian, the Kenyan, Gambian, why can't we work out certain things that can help our region, right? How can the digital space has given us that opportunity to do that? So I think it's also important. It's really, 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 really important that we think African in terms of what we are doing. And I believe that the sky will just be the limit for us. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Mr. Okpala, for that, for your comments. Key things he mentioned, we can't basically go far alone, so let's work together. And then leveraging private sector. There's so many. I work in the energy sector and international development space, and that's one of the levers we use to get across to underserved communities and all. The government cannot do everything, and we need to leverage partnerships with the right private sector players. So thank you for that amazing comment. And then importantly, think African, because we recognize there are nuances in this whole space. So you have to build for yourself when we think about design thinking, ensuring that you're meeting the needs of the people here, and then finding ways to adapt as you move along. So thank you for that. I have 3 minutes left, so I want to open the floor for 2 questions. So I see there's a hand there. Okay. 3 questions, and I encourage you to engage them after the panel session. So can we have, there's someone at the back that wants to ask a question, there's someone here, and the third hand, I think that was you. Yes, so that person I saw first. Okay, so I've been informed that just 2 questions. So I'll take that question, and I think I saw your hand. Yes.
Thank you so much. Very quick one because of schedule of time. First of all, I'm Ambassador Suleiman Garba. I'm the founder of Abingani Multipurpose. I'm a conflictologist and a financial expert, a researcher. So, very quick one, I have 2 different questions. One is for the panelists, and the second one is for the bankers in our midst. First of all, how can Nigerian entrepreneurs overcome infrastructural challenges like power and the internet issues? And secondly, as I mentioned earlier, I have gone a lot of places in Nigeria. As I said, I'm a researcher. I have come across a lot of villages where a lot of businesses, hundreds, thousands of businesses are there, and they're doing a lot of transactions. But some of them do not even have bank account. Some have level 1 and level 2 account. As according to the new policy in Nigeria, no more level 1 and level 2 accounts. And it is it is clearly shown that, according to the banks of Nigeria, that if you want to upgrade your accounts from level 2 to level 3, you have to use NEPA bill. And most of these villages do not even see the light for more than 2 to 3 years. So how will you, overcome all these challenges that we have in Nigeria? Thank you so much.
Thank you. And the last question, the man in...
All right, good afternoon, great panelists. Thank you very much for that wonderful conversation. My name is Valukafo, and I'm a passionate believer in Africa's prosperity by Africans. Between 2007 and 2014, we had a very beautiful platform founded by Ashley Peter and Alan Wolf from South Africa called To Go, with over 50 million users, but today is almost dead, if not buried. And, so what I can call digital colonialization is already happening. How can we build, and maybe Dr. Talle can answer this, or Mr. Bosah, how can we build a very powerful platforms powered by Africans, with African investors, so that we can do powerful things, like what Twitter is doing in America? So instead of getting suspensions, I know you understand what I'm talking about. How can we build something as powerful as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, powered by Africans? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So who wants to take, okay, so Mr. Bosah agrees to take that question. And then the earlier question, okay, fantastic.
Thank you very much for the question. I want to say something that you may not, this is regards to your question. How do you really build something big that will compete with the likes of Facebook, Twitter, and others from Africa? You have to recognize that those technologies did something that was not even really new. When Facebook came, there was already MySpace, there was already other social media platforms. The trick is to execute properly and find a niche market that will have global hold. You must execute properly. The idea is not really the main thing. The main thing is the execution. And if you execute well, if you target a global market, I know we want to build for Africa, but I know we are building in Africa for Africans, but without sounding strange, our market is small. Our market is small. We need to conquer bigger markets to deal with the economies of scale that is necessary to compete at a global level. Let me give an example. I mentioned earlier that Netflix was quietly leaving Nigeria. And one of the reasons is because they only have 170,000 users. How can that be in a country of 200 million users? We saw it with Konga. Konga changed hands many times. So there are some aspects about our market that is not really palatable for the person that wants to build a company that can scale globally. So I had suggested earlier that people that are building now, whatever you're building, think of AI. AI is the new frontier. It is not a solved problem 100% in the West, in the developed economies. You have the ability to compete in that space. You have to believe you have. Because there are some aspects of, take AI for instance, low resource subject matters. Do you think that ChatGPT knows Igbo more than you here in Nigeria? Do you think it knows Akan, Ewe, Fante, Lingali? It doesn't. It is you here in Africa that know more, and you can make those low resource subjects available in the AI world for use in the West. Because, believe it or not, Nigeria is the fastest growing diaspora community in America, and they form a large percentage of your users abroad. So you can actually compete and build globally. And that is what I think you should do. Find a unique technology, build globally, and trust me, execute very well. They will come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bosah. Okay, so maybe I'll take that as your final words and then Mr. Talle, you want to go next? Sorry? You want to add to his? Okay. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Thank you.
That's
so
hard.
That we can answer that other question.
So I want to come in from another dimension. He has addressed an angle, right? Another dimension is corporate governance, foresight, hindsight, and insight. A lot of African builders lack that. I'm sorry, right? Because of the epileptic economy that we've been used to. Many are thinking of cash out. You know, there's someone I know raised some funds. The next day he went to buy a G-Wagon. You know, it hurts, and it's making it difficult for new founders to raise money. Because a VC will tell you, I did this. Global statistics says that 90% of startups fail within the first 5 to 10 years. In Africa, it's not 90, it's 99% that fail. And it's not because the ideas are not novel or that the ideas are not great. It is that the people driving it have their head, they have coconut head. I'm sorry. Am I communicating? That's part of the fundamental problems, right? Eduardo, Mark's roommate, gave him $30,000. Mark could have squandered that money. And today, Facebook is where it is today, right? So we have a lot of work to do in terms of attitudinal development. And please, again, thank you for the work you're doing. And part of the work that we should do, instead of beyond the technical skills, we also have to teach leadership skills, attitudinal development for founders, because it's very important. I just wanted to quickly...
I think that was very important, and I'm glad that you mentioned it. Thank you very much for that addition. So let's hear the response to the first question, and then we can round up.
All right. So in addition to that, just 30 seconds, you have to understand local context as well, right? You know, when Starlink first came into the market, there was a part where if you try to use your card, it doesn't work because I think they use the payment platforms that are actually being done from US and other global markets. But over time, you know, they had to find a way to work with a local payment gateway, you know, to, you know, just allow payments to go through. So, and if you observe every other, you know, global startup or global company out there, they try to integrate locally. So that's why there is this famous word out there, glocal. Like whatever you're trying to do, because it's global, like you have to find a way to integrate locally, understand specific market needs. For instance, if you're going to Ghana, you have to understand how the market patterns, you know, are and stuff like that. So to answer the first question, he was talking about how does he solve the power challenge. I mean, Dangote has famously said it. If you want to do entrepreneurship in Nigeria, who is responsible? You are supposed to be responsible for yourself. You have to provide yourself with the power, you know, the water, everything that you have to, you know, utilize as a resource to do that groundbreaking idea. I mean, for me, what I've had to leverage is building relationships, right? I remember when I started out as a developer, right? Every penny I earned, you know, back in the days, because I knew power was a challenge. As far back as 2014, I was already saving for inverter. 2015 Fastcom, I already had my inverter, and for the past 10 years, I've not had to complain about, you know, issue of light because I prioritized that first kobo to go into power. Next, another problem, you know, you solve that. So when you build relationships, like for instance, we're in the news because we've raised the funds, right? So because it's coming at a time where the economy is really, really in, you know, sort of, I don't understand. But a lot of people were like, how did you do it, you know? I mean, without relationships, I don't think we could even be able to. For instance, I think a large composition of our funding come from just cold reach outs on LinkedIn. You know, people we just silently just reach out to because we've been doing some certain things over the years, and it's easy to prove that, yeah, this is what we've done. This is a team that we have that is behind it. It's not just a team, like a resilient team that is willing to go through thick and thin and stuff like that. And then when you look at our funding composition, I remember before we start conversations with financial institutions, you know, you have to have people that will put in the words for you. So if you don't have connects, I mean, you don't build connections in conferences like this or summit like this, how are you going to reach out to the DBN, right? But you are here, you're opportune to see Ms. Lola talk about it, and it's easy to have that conversation. Oh, Ms. Lola, I met you in this conference, right? So I think this is what I'm doing, you know, I think it's going to be a good idea for, you know, DBN to fund. to the point where we're talking to venture capital funds now that we're really preparing for, the next round. I could tell you that it just starts from building relationship. And I can tell you, I think immediately after that passion was shown to the early mentors we did have, every other company that we've gotten to start up, the money to set up the power never came from my pocket again. Like, what next business are you going into? Like, we would want to invest in the power part of things where you don't have to worry about power or light or something like that. I think these are the things you can leverage. Relationship.
Thank you, Mr. Abdulkadir, for that comment. I think it's basically leads us, it's everything we've been talking about in terms of collaborations and partnerships. So you definitely will not have all the solutions. So partner with those that can. And I know when you talk about power in some of those locations, that's why we have a lot of innovative models that are being deployed now. You have solar mini grids that are getting to some of those locations. We had someone from DBN earlier, Lolade, that spoke about their financial package for sustainability and all of that. So we basically just have to find a way to connect all the dots towards where we want to get to. The solutions are all around us, but it's not one person that would fix that. So I would like to appreciate the panelists for please a round of applause for the panelists. They've done a fantastic job today. It's been very insightful even for me because I'm not a tech expert. Well, but I'm more in the energy technology aspects of things. But I've learned even moderating this panel, and thank you for sharing your opinions, your tips and advice with us in the room today. I think we can end by saying there's hope for us. There are a lot of opportunities for collaboration, for cross-continental collaboration, and ultimately let's connect Africa through youth entrepreneurship and digital innovation. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you very much.